there seems to be like almost like a status poverty level. If you can get above this, you get a ton of attention from women. In fact, you have women opening you. If you're below this line, you're just basically getting women trying to get you on their hands and prostitutes and unattractive women. Is that what you? I just had Alex Costa on, and then I had FitX on, and there was a lot of looks maxing that they were discussing. And I didn't even realize, I mean, when I saw like your first video, how different you look from there, same thing with Bismarck. And I just think it's incredible. I really do think a lot of men underestimate how much they can do to improve themselves with, like you said, like even the eyebrow razor. My girlfriend started using that on me. Or using or getting your beard to a certain place to where it actually accentuates your jawline, or the ball fade. Like a lot of guys with the bushy things on the side, which actually doesn't accentuate their jawline. Can you talk about all these different things that you can do that actually help you as far as looks maxing concerned to make you more attractive, regardless of how you look?
So the first thing is, when it comes to looks maxing, when you think about it at a deep level, all it is showcasing signs of health, signs that you're healthy. Yes. So the very first thing is just being a low percent body fat. That's like the first step. Guys who come in my program, guys who want to work on looks maxing, if you're above 50% body fat, you got to lose the fat first. Whenever you get to, I would say 10 to 12% body fat, that's when your facial definition shows the most. That's when your jawline is attenuated the most. And that's when just most men tend to look the most attractive. In rare cases, it could be like 13 to 15% too. However, I find that like that 10 to 12% zone is like the sweet spot. And it is not easy either. That's why few men have, that body fat percentage and can showcase that, because it is quite difficult, especially as you get older. The next thing is hair. Hair can really make a man. In fact, most people say that hair is a man's makeup. So one thing I focused on, and one thing that I teach people too, is if you're able to grow a beard, try and do so. There's been studies done that showcase that a dense dark stubble for women, I think above 22 or 23, is said to be like universally more attractive than any other beard lift, including being clean shaven. So what I did is I used minoxidil for like 2 years, because before that, I was in ROTC, I was always shaven. I thought I couldn't grow a beard, but after using minoxidil, I was able to finally develop some stubble. And then from there, that's how I came into my look now. I've, enhanced my eyebrows, make sure that my hairline is straight and defined, so if you can just maximize your hair in all areas, it can really showcase signs of youth. And for that reason, make you more attractive.
I don't know if you've had this issue with some clients, but the unkept beard or the patchy or an uneven beard, for some reason, it's just, it feels like, so I'm friends with Bilzerian, and I've seen this at his house, like the stuff that he does in order to like take care of his beard. And it's a lot of stuff. In order for you to be that ostentatious, to have that much of a beard, you have to really take care of it. But I see a lot of guys, especially often they're Eastern European, stuff like this, and the beard comes out like an afro, like to the sides or whatever. And I keep trying to explain to them, like, this is a weird shape that you're making your face, and it's like there's sort of this patchiness to it. Can you talk about this? But because it's not this concept where it's like women like a beard, so grow a big, huge beard. It's like women like stubble. You made that distinction.
Yeah. So one thing guys get wrong too is that when they think of these hacks or things to make themselves more attractive, they go into a viewpoint of what they think men think is more attractive.
Yes.
So that's the differentiation between male versus female gaze. A male gaze in terms of facial hair is something like you said, the big bushy beard. It's very masculine. It's very quote unquote alpha. If you are going to go that route, at least it needs to be sharp and groomed, which takes a lot of dedication. It's going to be probably like daily grooming or every other day grooming. But you never want something that's big, bushy, looks unkept, because you just look unkept. And for the most part, a lot of these guys look homeless to some degree, especially if they don't take care of it and they just let it grow wild. If you can keep it close to your face to insinuate your features and or grow enough hair to where you can actually create features for yourself. For example, some guys have, a recessed chin from the side, or maybe they don't have like a jawline. If you can grow enough hair to where it's dense enough to where you can actually shape that and insinuate that, and instead of getting like a procedure to put bone in, your facial hair can do it for you.
Yeah.
So
you use the word dimorphism. You talk about dimorphic differences between men and women. And I think, well, a lot of the things that you're talking about, so for instance, a strong jawline is a dimorphic difference that happens because men have more testosterone than women. And also the other one was, when FitX was on here, he was talking about the hunter eyes. And so the other thing is, what you do with your eyebrow that actually can show, because men have their eyes sit further back in their head. You'll see with women, when they have more estrogen, their eyes are bigger. They sit bigger in their head. And so the reason why is this is a protective thing. Again, when men get into combat, battle, competition, whatever, this eyebrow muscle or this eyebrow bone is there to protect the eye. And so seeing that difference that you have between a man and a woman is also the jaw muscle is another one. And then the biggest dimorphic difference between men and women is upper body muscle. Men are about 200% stronger in their upper body and 90% stronger in their lower body than women. And these dimorphic differences, like you said before, they clearly show that there's two different genders, but you're actually separating yourself even more. And that's why the dimorphism is so important.
Yeah, there's a layer of dimorphism that you got to be careful with, because there's extreme dimorphism, which is more the hypermasculine route.
Yeah.
And that's where you're pushing like a little too much dimorphism. So
that's when you're pushing Tren and Deca and you're taking are at the same time.
Exactly. Yeah. It's mostly unnatural routes, but even the big bushy beard can be a case of like extreme dimorphism to where you come off hyper masculine, and that's more of a niche sort of thing. But yeah, dimorphism is also shown in the animal kingdom. Humans can relate to it too.
Sure.
Peacocks.
Yeah, for sure. Peacocks are actually showing off their tail to show that they have better fitness. One of the things I really appreciate, one of the books behind me, Dr. David Buss's Evolution of Desire, he talks, one of the concepts is about male overperception bias and female underperception bias. And one of the things that happens is men tend to think, and this goes back to your previous point, that because they may have gotten on TRT or gotten a little bit more muscular, that they need to keep getting more, and the bigger they get, the more attraction that they're going to get from women. And what women prefer, they do a scale where they ask men, what do you think women want? And then what do they actually want? And so men will say they think women want Arnold Schwarzenegger, when women really want something closer to Chris Hemsworth or even closer to Brad Pitt in Fight Club. So they want muscular, more muscular than average, but they don't want bodybuilder. Men, on the other hand, we do the complete opposite. Women think men want twiggy, they want super skinny, and men want something closer to Kim Kardashian 15 years ago, like round, like a nice butt, nice boobs, hip to waist ratio. So women have this perception that men want them to be skinnier than they actually do, and men have this perception, this overperception bias, where they think that women want us to be more muscular than we actually are. And like you said before, body fat percentage probably matters more than just how much muscularity you have.
Yeah, that's true. And that's interesting from the woman's perspective, how a lot of women want to be skinnier or even leaner than what is considered, most men would consider attractive.
Yeah.
But in terms of muscularity, as long as you're natural, you have nothing to worry about.
Yeah.
Like getting too big is actually very hard to do. Most guys try to get too big and it never happens. So if you just stay natural, then you'll never have to worry about that. But absolutely agree with those points.
There's been a ton of studies. I don't know. Have you ever read the studies on like Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge? Satoshi Kanazawa's come out with some where they go over most right swipes are between 23 and 25. For men, I believe it's between 38 and 44, somewhere around there. The concepts of different ethnicities having different advantages and disadvantages on these dating spaces. The other part was, the big one for me was the top 10% of men on Tinder, Bumble, and Hinge were getting something like 63% of the right swipes. The top 20% were getting 83% of the right swipes. The top 40% were getting 96% of the right swipes. And so you kind of point out, when I watch your content, one of the things I see is there seems to be like almost like a status poverty level. If you can get above this, you get a ton of attention from women. In fact, you have women opening you. If you're below this line, you're just basically getting women trying to get you on their hands and prostitutes and unattractive women. Is that what you've seen?
Yeah, I found that it's really all about leverage and your ability to correlate or showcase your sexual market value in different aspects through an online image. And so for online dating, obviously looks and image is obviously going to be very important, sex appeal. But even if you're not attractive, if you could showcase like different areas of being high status or maybe being in a certain group or network, there's many different leveraging points there, but I would agree with that overall.
One of the things I got fascinated by